Hey everyone, grab a seat and maybe your favorite drink, because today we're diving into a story that's literally 10 million years in the making. Have you ever wondered why, after a long week, that first sip of a cold beverage feels like a biological hug? Or why humans, out of all the creatures on this planet, have this weird, deep-seated relationship with alcohol? Most people think booze started with a few bored farmers in Mesopotamia or Egypt, maybe 5,000 or 6,000 years ago. But what if I told you that the happy hour started way before the first pyramid was even a thought? What if I told you that your craving for fermented fruit is actually an ancient survival mechanism that allowed our ancestors to survive while others went extinct? We're talking about a forbidden timeline that stretches back to a time when we weren't even walking on two legs yet. So buckle up, because we're tracing the history of when ancient humans first started consuming alcohol, from the deep forests of the Miocene to the mysterious giant stone circles of Göbekli Tepe. This is the definitive guide to our species' oldest habit.
Let's go back, way back, like 10 million years back. Imagine you're a primitive hominid, a common ancestor of humans, chimpanzees, and gorillas, swinging through the canopy of an African forest. Life is tough, food is scarce, and competition is brutal. This is where the Drunken Monkey Hypothesis comes in, a brilliant theory popularized by Dr. Robert Dudley. Back then, our ancestors lived mostly on fruit, but fruit doesn't stay ripe forever. It falls to the forest floor, it gets bruised, and it begins to ferment. Natural yeasts in the air settle on that sugary pulp and start a party of their own, converting those sugars into ethanol. To most animals, that smell of rotting fruit was a warning. Stay away, it's toxic. But for us, something changed. Around 10 million years ago, a random but miraculous genetic mutation occurred in our lineage. We developed a supercharged version of the ADH4 enzyme. This wasn't just any protein, it was a biological superpower that allowed our ancestors to metabolize ethanol 40 times faster than other primates. Suddenly, that fermented fruit on the ground wasn't a toxic mess, it was a high-calorie gold mine. While other monkeys were stuck in the trees fighting over the fresh stuff, our ancestors could hop down, eat the boozy fruit, and get a massive energy boost without getting dangerously sick. We didn't start drinking because we wanted to party. We started drinking because it was the ultimate survival hack. That smell of alcohol, it became the scent of dinner is served.
Now, let's fast forward a few million years. We've moved out of the trees, we're walking upright, and our brains are getting bigger. But that ADH4 enzyme, it's still there, hardwired into our DNA. As we transitioned from hominids to early Homo sapiens, our relationship with alcohol evolved from a simple calorie source to something much more complex. Think about the life of a hunter-gatherer. It's stressful, right? You're constantly on the move, hunting dangerous game, and trying not to get eaten yourself. When our ancestors stumbled upon a patch of naturally fermenting berries or a beehive filled with rain-watered honey that had turned into a primitive mead, it wasn't just food anymore, it was a social lubricant. Imagine a small tribe sitting around a fire, sharing this magic fruit that made everyone feel a little more relaxed, a little more talkative, and a little more bonded. This is where the pro-social aspect of alcohol begins. It helped lower the natural aggression and suspicion between individuals, allowing larger groups to cooperate. It's wild to think about, but alcohol might have been the very thing that taught us how to play nice with each other. But here is where the story takes a very mysterious turn. For decades, archaeologists told us a very specific story. Humans settled down, started farming wheat and barley to make bread, and then, almost by accident, they discovered that if you leave grain in water, it turns into beer. Agriculture first, booze second. That was the rule. But then, we found Göbekli Tepe in modern-day Turkey, and it flipped the script entirely. This site is over 11,000 years old, thousands of years older than the pyramids, and even older than the first known permanent farms. It's a massive complex of T-shaped stone pillars, carved of lions, scorpions, and vultures. And here's the kicker. There's no evidence that people actually lived there. No houses, no hearths, no trash heaps. It was a cathedral on a hill. So why would nomadic hunter-gatherers, who barely had two stones to rub together, spend decades hauling 20-ton pillars to build this place? Recent archaeological finds by Dr. Klaus Schmidt and his team revealed massive stone vats at the site,
some capable of holding up to 160 liters of liquid. And when they analyzed the residue inside, they found calcium oxalate, a telltale sign of grain fermentation. In other words, beer. This leads us to a mind-blowing realization. Ancient humans might have started farming not to make bread, but to make beer. Think about it. Bread is great, but it's hard work. Why would you give up a free-roaming life of hunting for the back-breaking labor of farming? Unless you had a really good reason. And a giant, multi-day spiritual drunken festival at Göbekli Tepe is a pretty convincing reason. Alcohol was the glue that held these massive projects together. It was used in rituals to reach altered states of consciousness, to talk to the gods, and to celebrate the construction of these megaliths. It wasn't just a drink, it was a divine technology. The desire for a steady supply of fermentable grains might have been the literal engine that drove the birth of civilization. We didn't build cities and then start drinking. We started drinking and realized we needed to build cities to keep the party going. As we move into the late Stone Age and the early Neolithic, we see this alcohol culture spreading like wildfire. In the Jiahu site in China, dated to about 9,000 years ago, researchers like Patrick McGovern, the Indiana Jones of ancient beverages, found pottery jars containing a complex cocktail of rice, honey, and hawthorn fruit. This wasn't just accidental fermentation, this was intentional brewing. These people were master mixologists. They were experimenting with different flavors and potencies. It shows that by this point, alcohol was deeply integrated into the human experience. It was used in funerals to honor the dead, in weddings to join families, and in diplomatic meetings to seal alliances. The forbidden timeline shows us that alcohol has been our constant companion, from the moment we climbed down from the trees to the moment we started writing down our history.
So why does this matter to you today? Well, it explains a lot about our biology. We have a brain that craves the dopamine hit of ethanol because 10 million years ago, that hit meant we found life-saving calories. We have a social structure that revolves around getting a drink because 11,000 years ago, that was the only way to get 1,000 strangers to work together to build a temple. We're asking about the origins of our own social behavior, our spirituality, and our drive to build and create. We are, quite literally, the drunken monkeys who grew up and built the world. From the ADH4 mutation to the massive stone vats of Göbekli Tepe, the history of alcohol is the history of us. It's a story of survival, connection, and a little bit of ancient magic. Next time you're hanging out with friends and sharing a drink, just remember, you're not just having a beverage, you're participating in a 10-million-year-old ritual that made us human. Thanks for hanging out and exploring this timeline with me. It's been a wild ride through the past, and I hope it gives you a whole new perspective on your next toast. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.